80. My Singing Monsters. Yes, I know, it's a kid's game, but I don't care. It's a nice game that helps me take my mind off this joke we call life, and I like some of the songs. But if I am ever feeling like I need to assert vocal dominance, I can then take my monsters to the arena for their equivalent of a rap battle. With a mobile game like this, there isn't much else to it, and obviously the microtransactions are hella predatory. Thankfully, they aren't tied to progress, so I've never been tempted to buy them, ever. I just play it because it's silly, I like the songs, the style, the characters, but most importantly, because it's a distraction for me. 79. Dredd vs. Death. Judge Dredd is easily one of the most iconic chins of all time. His hyper-violent and morally questionable comics have entertained people for decades, and to translate them into video games is both a difficult and limited task because of the frickin' FCC and the GRA, and whoever else decides to suck the fun out of games. Dredd vs. Death is the closest to the source material that I've ever experienced in terms of Dredd games. It's violent, it's abnormal, and it's got hints of dystopian justice. The story has you playing as the Giga Chin Chad Dredd as you start fighting against gangs and vampires before having to face the Dark Judges. You do so by doing the only thing Dredd knows how to do, by abusing a flawed and biased law system. Between sending people to isolation for tedious crimes and using a wide arsenal of weapons, including the iconic Lawgiver, to justify police brutality, you'll feel like the most dangerous man in the city. Which isn't saying much, seeing as how the AI does shit like this.
Assume the position, creep. Spread 'em.
The constant action keeps you on your toes, as getting killed is just as easy as killing your enemy. Of course, as a law enforcer, you need to give them the opportunity to surrender, or else you'll be seen as a rogue officer and then you'll be hunted down too. On top of all that, you can bring a friend into the action in the fully playable co-op story mode or the battle mode to explode many heads, disrespect your enemies, and become the law. '78. Desperados Free. The Desperados series is known to a small amount of gamers. The original two were 2D strategy games where you had to use your character's unique abilities to complete the level, knowing full well that failure and save scumming were intended parts of the game. The third installment does all that, but better. Featuring a fully voice-acted story and a cast of likeable characters, Desperados Free brings back what made the series so enjoyable in the first place with new features. Its most prominent being the Showdown mode, where it pauses the game and you can plan out actions of each of your party members to be executed all at once, showing all your killing in motion plans. It will be a useful feature as you plan out your next move while travelling through the huge levels, all of which are finely detailed and offer up many solutions to your problems as long as you're keen-eyed enough to spot them. Just like before, failure is part of the game, so expect a lot of save scumming from its challenges, your mistakes, but most of all, a lot of euphoria when you finally overcome what was pissing you off in the first place. 77. XCOM 2. The XCOM series has gained some popularity in recent years with its fantastic main titles, but divisive offshoots. For me, XCOM 2 has been my favourite of the more modern titles because of its turn-based combat, surreal enemies, and the powerful capabilities you can achieve with a carefully thought out team. You lead a resistance force against the Reticulan government that now rules the world, and you control the action in both base by constructing it while conducting the research to strengthen your forces, and in the field by controlling a squad to achieve victory in many mission types. As you play, you'll encounter many different kinds of creatures, many enemies, few allies. Being able to customize my squad in abilities, gear, and looks allows you to make a squad that you can call your own, and as a result you start to feel more cautious and nervous during missions as you start to get attached to them. Now you might be asking, why the second one? Well, I prefer it over one because it has more toys to play with and a lot more features. and I prefer it over Chimera Squad because I'm able to customize my squad the way I want them to look, rather than the one-dimensional characters I can hardly customize. Of course, the series isn't perfect. Notorious for its constant high chance misses while enemies can regularly hit you, and the subpar storylines means that it can put a bit of a negative on the experience. But these elements don't hurt it too much, and the good qualities outweigh the bad ones by miles. 76. UFO Aftermath. Speaking of XCOM, the UFO series is how I was introduced to XCOM in the first place. I'm about to quickfire these next few entries because I've already gone into depth with them with a few other videos. So, Aftermath is set a few days after aliens invade Earth and you lead a force to fight back against them. The difference between this and XCOM is that the combat is real-time rather than turn-based. You also can't customize your units as much, but you still get a bunch of gear to make them more powerful, including gear to make your characters psychic. 75. UFO Afterlight. Afterlight is the third in the series and takes place during the second title as you lead a colony on Mars whose goal is to terraform the planet into your new home. This game, compared to the other two, is limited in what it offers. Development of new technology is slow, there's an increased difficulty as you can't recruit new soldiers to replace dead ones, and progress overall seems very slow and unrewarding. But I prefer it over Aftermath because of the location, the personalities of the characters, and its somewhat intriguing plot. 74. UFO Aftershock. Aftershock is the second in the series and takes place a few years after the events of Aftermath, where you fail to save the world from invasion and instead surrender it to the enemy so that you can secure a place on the Space Council. Better graphics, more enemies, more weapons, more races to play offer a much more involving experience than the other two titles combined. Okay, now I'm back to normal narration speed, which is ironic because with this next title, you gotta go fast. 73. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Sonic the Hedgehog has had a near flawless track record when it came to his 2D games, but the opposite happened when he made the jump to 3D. Often described as clunky, underwhelming, broken, boring, or just plain bad, the 3D titles continuously disappointed fans, and Battle 2 is also one of those titles. You can choose to play as either the good or the bad guys, each side letting you play as 3 characters with their own playstyle. A fast character, a treasure hunter, and a character wearing the wrong trousers. Regardless as to who you play as, you'll find yourself constantly slowing down to get a grasp of where you are and how to proceed. Not what people want from a Sonic game. Playing it recently, I could see all the flaws and the issues it had, and I was wondering, why did I enjoy this so much as a dumb kid? Well, as a dumb adult, it soon became obvious to me after I got to what was the most popular part of this game. The Chows. Being able to raise a little creature to dominate races or beat the shit out of other Chows was an enjoyable and wholesome experience. To train them, you can buy supplies with rings or let them play with drugs and animals you save from the levels. Doing so makes them stronger and evolves them. The character you use would also determine what alignment they would turn and unlock the Heaven or Hell Gardens to raise more Chows in. But to put it in a much shorter and simpler way, I think this clip from Pro Jared's review explains what I want to say perfectly.
We forgive so much awful garbage about the game because we like the Sonic levels, we like the Shadow levels, we like the Chow Garden. But that all makes up 1/3 of the game as a whole, meaning 66% of it is not good, and that's from the levels we don't like playing with Tails, Knuckles, Eggman, and Rouge. But not every Sonic and Shadow level is great, and the game as a whole suffers from an atrocious camera, and the story is really stupid. But who cares? Because those marshmallows are delicious.
72. Fallout New Vegas. Todd Howard is one of the greatest con men of all time. He has somehow made a career of making incomplete, shoddy, and broken games to sell to the public, knowing full well that the fans will fix it for him and enjoy it more. which they will gladly pay to do over and over and over again. Fallout New Vegas is one of the more acceptable games Howard has produced, as that it is enjoyable in its base state, seems fairly competent, and modders have had a field day with it in so many cool and crazy mods, adding a twist to the format. Vegas is one of the few titles in the series that doesn't start you off as a vault dweller. Instead, you're a courier who gets shot in the head, but luckily is nursed back to health by a nearby doctor. After that, well, it's pretty much down to you. Pause the main story and go dungeon diving for gear, align yourself with bandits, get rich or die trying in Vegas, kill every NPC in the game. Seriously, New Vegas lets you do that. Stream, maybe? Your options are numerous and yours to explore. Of course, there's also a fuck ton of toys that will help you on your journey, as well as a cast composed of some of the most loved and hated characters in the lore. There's also a bunch of batshit crazy subplots to explore, and a plethora of enemies, both old and new, to test out how special you actually are. Huh? 71. Flat Out 4. Men don't grow up, our toys just get more expensive. And Flat Out 4 is the embodiment of that saying. Now, while I do consider this a favourite game, I only like half of the game. But the main game itself involves Demolition Derby style racing where playing dirty with the intention to kill is highly encouraged. However, it isn't as fun as it sounds. The game is balanced in the AI's favour in practically every way. To start, your car controls like dog shit. Wet or dry, the roads are consistently slippery, making turns feel worthless, and even the slightest nudge on your stick could cause you to careen off the road. Rarely does that happen to the AI, but when it does, they recover so fast it's not even an issue for them. Your car is easily the worst car on the track, as when you ram an enemy or use a weapon on them, the damage is often pitiful and they shrug you off, even when you boost into them. The other way round? The AI doesn't even need to boost to send your papier-mâché car flying. In a game like this, one mistake or one hit from an enemy, no matter how early or late in the game or a race you are, will cost you victory. Finally, the boost system is very flawed. First off, gaining boost is slow. To gain it, you either drift, get air, smash things, or smash other racers. But each of these methods don't work very well. Drifting is worse than turning, getting air is a high risk, low reward scenario, smashing things works to an extent, but what is and isn't smashable is both hard to figure out and to avoid due to the shitty steering, and things that look smashable are not. And smashing other racers? Good luck with that, as most of the time they are way ahead of you, and even when you manage to do it, the reward isn't worth it. Easily the worst part of the boost is that when you finally get it after putting so much effort into trying, the boost does nothing. Your opponents are still able to match your speed without boost. You might pull ahead, but by the time your boost runs out, you're only a few feet in front of them. So if I hate this so much, then why is it on the list? Well, to be clear, I hate the racing, but I love the party mode. When I first was introduced to the series, I played Flat Out 3, and it was given to me, so I had no idea what the game was in the first place. Trying it out with a friend, we discovered the party mode, and it was a kind of Takeshi's Castle style mini-games, but if Jackass had a hand in it. We liked the absurdity and the ridiculousness of the games themselves, but what was most fun was trying to figure out how they work, and then, once we did, trying to beat each other. There's a wide variety of minigames, and each one offers up so much fun, and I would highly recommend that if you are drunk and you want to do something really silly with your friends that's going to get you excited, then consider the party mode of the Flat Out series.